Peace, love, and light, y'all. How is everybody doing this morning? I hope all is well with you guys. Here it is dark, dreary, rainy, but hey, we got to make the best of it. So, today I want to bake a 1-day sourdough loaf, and I also want to make some sourdough pasta. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and I'm excited about it. The sourdough pasta is a recipe that I got from the Rose Homestead from Mary. Her name is Mary, and she does some wonderful things over there on her channel. So I decided that I was going to make that. And before I get started, I'm going to make me a cup of tea. And yeah, so and then after I make the cup of tea, I'm going to get things all set up so I can get started. So I'm going to see you guys on the other side once everything is set up and ready to go. Okay, so come along with me as I bake this sourdough loaf and as I make this sourdough pasta. I still haven't decided if I'm going to do spaghetti or linguine. But I'm looking forward to doing it. And like I said, come along with me. Let's have a good time and all the rest of that good stuff. So let's get started. As you all know, when I come in the kitchen to start cooking or doing anything, I got to put my apron on, because one thing, it keeps my clothes clean, because y'all know I'll make a mess. I make a mess. Even though I haven't been out anywhere, it's still, my thing to put on an apron. So I did. As you can see, I'm getting ready to set up my grain mill so I can get my wheat berries milled. And the grain mill I'm using it's called the Wonder Mill. Okay, so you can go check that out. It's called a Wonder Mill. There are different type of grain mills, but you just shop your budget. Like I always like to say, shop your budget. This one that I have was in my budget, so this is why I have this one. Okay, now, the berries that I'm going to mill today are kamut berries. Kamut is an ancient grain, and it has a nice flavor to it, when you bake with it. Okay, so I'm getting the berries, and we're going to mill these berries up. Yeah. And baking with fresh milled flour is a learning curve. You have to kind of relearn baking, because it's not the same as baking with commercial flour, that you buy in the store, because there are a few extra steps that you have to take when you're baking with fresh milled flour, because it's a whole grain. Okay, now when we buy flour in the store, or if you buy bread in the store but say whole grain, it's not whole grain, because they done took everything out of it and then added some other stuff to it. But anyway, I'm gonna not grill, but mill up enough berries to make my bread and to do my pasta. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to mill, and yeah. Okay, our flour is all milled, and I'm going to mix this in the food processor. I'm going to put in 1 cup of flour and a half a cup of sourdough starter and a couple of tablespoons of water. Depending on how dry, because this is supposed to be a dry dough, almost like making a pie crust, sort of. Yeah, it's like making a pie crust. It's going to be very dry. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to put in our sourdough starter. And it has a little bit of salt too. I had to add that later. You won't see me putting it in now. I had to go back and add it in. But yeah, sourdough, salt, water, just like making a pie crust, but you're not using any oils or butters or nothing like that. So yeah. Okay, now that our berries are all milled and now it's flour, we're going to add our flour to the food processor. And we're adding 1 cup of flour. And to the flour, we're also going to add in our sourdough starter. Okay, and we're going to put in a 1/2 cup of sourdough starter. With them little plastic wheels. And I was supposed to add salt right here too, but I forgot to put the salt in. So I went back and added the salt. You know, after I needed it, then I re-needed it and added the salt. So this is amazing. So yeah. Sludge. Now I'm just gonna finish putting everything in this food processor, and we're gonna process it all up until it comes to a coarse dough. All right, so let's get it. Now that the pasta dough is all kneaded, we're going to put it in the bowl, cover it, put it away, set it aside until it's ready. It's time to make the pasta. Now we're going to get set up so we can make our sourdough bread. I'm setting up our dough machine, and we're going to put all our ingredients in it. Uh, we're starting off with 1 cup of warm water. Then we're going to put in 1 cup of sourdough starter. I tell you, that sourdough starter can be sticky, but it's all worth it in the end. All right, so now we're gonna scrape all of it in. We're gonna try to get every last bit of that in there because that's good stuff. You don't want to lose none of your sourdough starter. All right, we're gonna scrape it all out, and then we're gonna go to our next step. We're gonna add in our oil, and we're gonna mix everything in here. We're gonna make sure that the oil, the sourdough starter, and the water all blends good in together real nicely. Now we're gonna add our salt. And after we add our salt, we're going to add in our flour. We're going to start off with 1 cup. We're going to add that in there. And then after our 1 cup, we got a 2 cup measure. We're going to add that in there. Yeah, because you can have anywhere from 3 to 4 cups of flour depending on your dough. And well, the weather has a lot to do with it. Wherever your environment has a lot to do with how your dough comes out. Okay, so now we're just gonna let that mix up a little bit, and we're gonna scrape down the sides. That's what I'm doing. I'm going over there to get a spatula to scrape the sides down. So it all can be mixed in together. And I have to wait because this machine, it mixes and then it stops, then it mixes, then it stops. I always wait till it stops and then scrapes the sides down. Yeah. And so after I scrape the sides down, let this mix up a little bit. I'm going to turn the machine off and let the dough sit there for a minute so it can soak up the water. But before we do that, we're going to put a little bit more flour in the dough because this dough is kind of, just a little bit sticky. So I'm going to add a little bit more flour and we're going to let it mix all in. And after it mixes in, then we're going to go ahead and let it sit for a few minutes. After it sits for a few minutes, then we're going to let the machine knead the dough. But I did want to say that when you're baking with freshly milled flour, the reason why you want it to sit is so the bran and the germ can soften up and it makes the bread a little bit softer, and it also keeps the dry bran and stuff from cutting the gluten up in the dough when you're baking it. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. Okay, you guys, right here, you see me getting ready to refeed my sourdough because I use quite a bit of it. Like a cup and a half is what I use. So I have to put that back in there so I can have it for my next baking project that I use sourdough in. Okay, you guys, let me fill you in on this. Like when you're making sourdough, if you don't, you need to use a filter water because if you use chlorine, the water out the faucet with chlorine, it'll kill all your good bacteria in your sourdough. I can do that because I have an under-counter water filter, so I can use water out of my faucet. But if you don't, if you know you're gonna make sourdough, put some water in a glass or a jar or something and let it sit up overnight. And that way, you know that it will be safe. Okay, so feeding the sourdough to get it ready for the next batch of whatever it is I'm going to be making next. Okay, now the dough is done being kneaded in the machine. So now we're going to take it out. We're going to prepare the table. Well, what I'm going to take it out and knead it on. We're going to get everything prepared. We're going to put oil on everything because the dough is really sticky. It's sticky, sticky, sticky. So I put oil down and oil on my hands so it won't stick to everything. Won't stick to the table. It'd be easy to get off the table and everything. Okay. Now that we done got it out of the bowl, we're going to kind of not really knead it, prepare it to go into the pan. As you can see, I'm spraying my hands with oil. Getting this ready to go into the pan. This is one of my favorite parts of baking the bread, when you're getting it ready to go in the pan, because that this rise right here, the pan rise, is the last rise, and then it goes into the oven to be baked. But yeah. So if you guys are bread bakers, what's your favorite part of baking the bread? We all know when it gets done, when you can cut it and eat it and everything, but I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about as you're preparing it, like I said, knowing that that last rise, because right 30 minutes from there, the dough is going to go in the oven and it's going to bake and become a loaf of bread. Yeah. So I am so looking forward to this bread being done. This is one of my favorite breads to make, and I'm glad that Mary from the Rose Homestead shared this recipe. I'm going to put her information in the description box so you can go check her out, because she has a lot of good things to offer, and go check her out. So now we're going to cover the bread and let it rise in the oven. Like I said, we're going to put it in the oven, let it rise and do its thing. It's not going to be done for a good while, like the pasta, because since we're dealing with sourdough, it does take a minute for it to get done. So we'll put it in the oven and we're going to wait until it's done. Okay, you guys, we are back. And we're going to do our pasta. We're going to get our pasta ready to make our noodles and things. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the spaghetti. Okay, I need some flour on this. Wait, you guys are not going to be able to see. Let me bend this down so y'all can see. Hold on. Okay, you guys. All right, we are going back and we're going to do this, get our pasta ready to, to make, we're going to do our pasta. We're going to make our pasta. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Put some flour on here. Gonna roll this out. We got to make sure we have flour all on it so it won't stick to the machine. Okay, you guys, here's my homemade pasta. It's kind of, I don't know what was wrong with my machine. It kept coming apart. I got to check it. I didn't want to force the thing down in there because then I probably wouldn't have been able to get it out. But anyway, I got my water on. It's going to come to a boil. Then we're going to cook this. Let me check my bread because it might be ready to go into the oven. Oh yeah, this can go into the oven. Let me preheat the oven. All right, okay, so I'm going to preheat the oven, and when the oven is done preheating, we're going to come back and put the bread in, and by then we can have the pasta in the water. So hang in there. Okay, you guys, here is my sourdough pasta and my sourdough one-day loaf, okay? So yeah, pasta tastes pretty good. I think I made the dough a little bit too stiff, so next time I won't make it so stiff. But anyway, before I go there, let me tell you, I put a mushroom cream sauce on it. That's what I didn't put the tomato sauce, I put the mushroom cream sauce, homemade mushroom cream sauce, okay? Now, if this is the first time that you ever watched any of my videos, I'm going to ask you to subscribe, hit that notification bell so when I put up videos, you get your notification. Give it a thumbs up, share, and yeah, all the rest of that good stuff. Comment too. So with that, you guys, I'm going to say have a great rest of the day, evening, wherever you are, and make it a good one.